Hi, my name is Sarah, tarot reader, and I've got a tarot reading for you. So it is actually a kind of it's the second of like a 3 reading little series that I wanted to do. The first one was about intrinsic value, and this one I've asked about intrinsic motivation. So I asked the same question. What needs to be understood by the collective about intrinsic motivation? And I've gotten straight into the fucking reading there without saying that this is an open and general reading. There's some guidance in my description box for watching, but please just watch with an open mind, flex your discernment, take what resonates, leave the rest. And it may well be the case that it's not your message at all, but I do hope that you can get something from it. Okay, right. So, second in a 3-part thing, where I've asked like what needs to be understood by the wider collective about intrinsic motivation. And it's quite funny because the one about intrinsic value, and I asked the same question about intrinsic value, it kind of very much came through as like an individual's intrinsic value, right? Whereas this has just kind of made me laugh because it's kind of communicating what I think the intrinsic motivation of the universe, or certainly some kind of particular astronomy and astrology that's kind of happening. So yeah, it's kind of it's kind of given me I think what the universe is. It's like some kind of cosmic intrinsic motivation, right? Which is what us as a collective need to understand, particularly so at this time. So there definitely is something about the astrology. There is some big like spiritual energies as well. There's the High Priestess and the Hanged Man are the first 2 cards out. So there's just a lot of like spiritual there, like quite big. Well, they're major arcana, but very significant together, especially, I want to say. So there is that, but there is also, so the astrology, I keep mentioning the astrology. I've written some transits down here. Basically, the one that I think is the most pertinent to this particular reading is Jupiter, planet Jupiter, moved into Cancer, the astrological sign of Cancer, and I think it was like June the 7th. I think Jupiter is in Cancer now. I think it's made that movement, but it is a very recent thing. Please check the date because I'm really not sure whether that's the correct one. And so Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer, right? So it really vibes being there, basically, like energetically. It's kind of fucking loves it. And Jupiter is, it's known as the greater kind of benefic, right? So it's known as like a beneficial planet. It has an energy of sort of luck and fortune and expansion, optimism, inspiration, right? It's quite a kind of generous energy is Jupiter. And the zodiac sign of Cancer is a water sign ruled by the moon. So High Priestess is the moon. Yeah, ruled by the moon, symbolized by the crab, right? The constellation crab. It's cardinal water, right? So it's a water sign. There is a lot of water here, like a lot. In fact, it's almost exclusively water. It's a lot of water. But it's a cardinal water sign. So whereas like the element of water is receptive, can sometimes sort of say it's passive, it's, you know, because cardinal signs are very kind of get shit done, take action. It does kind of imbue the archetype of Cancer with that particular kind of characteristic. It's a water sign that likes to get things done, right? Likes to get things done. But it's a very creative energy. It's ruled by the moon, so very like intuitive energy. Think about crabs and what they symbolize. So there's like a very protective aspect to Cancerian archetype. Possibly that kind of like quite hard on the outside, soft on the inside sort of thing. Very sensitive, like kind archetype. That generosity is associated with it as well. Very empathetic. And you know, those gorgeous things like sort of being genuine and being sincere. And very attuned to the emotions. Reading off a list there. It's not to say that is exclusively what the archetype represents, and they are all quite sort of light attributes. You would also get a kind of shadow side of that. It's definitely something about boundaries there, like I think in the shadow, like a lack of boundaries, or something about protection because of what's kind of coming up in the cards as well. So, right, that's just a really, really brief kind of intro into the energy of Jupiter and Cancer. I'd kind of recommend that you have a little scout for yourself and see what is resonant for you. So that transit, and something happened with it. There was something yesterday. So I'm recording this on the 20th of June. On the 19th of June, there was Jupiter square Neptune. And that particular thing, that particular aspect, that particular happening has really been highlighted because you've got the major arcana card for Neptune with the Hanged Man. You've also got the major arcana card for Jupiter with the Wheel of Fortune that have come out in the cards of the spread. So that was on the 19th of June, Jupiter square Neptune in 2 degrees of Cancer Aries. So in astrological terms, squares are one of the more challenging aspects. I've got fucking loads in my birth chart. Just squares. And they're kind of like they're points of friction, basically. They're points of friction, but points of friction that kind of have us uncomfortable, and it's sort of, there is a tendency that it sort of has us take action, right? It's like that kind of thing. It's not particularly comfortable, or it's not always that comfortable, like as friction often is not. but it does tend to kind of create some sort of impetus to do something. So right, in like the energy of Neptune, man, like Neptune's quite a sort of dreamy, mystical, a lot of water again. This card is elemental water as well as Neptune's. It's very watery. Neptune. It's associated with the 12th house in astrology as well. So the 12th house, very spiritual, very mystical, but it is one of the more challenging houses as well. It can be a house associated with I'm actually not really feeling too. Well, Neptune, okay, we're not with the 12th house. I don't think it's about that. Neptune, right, so mystic, very much mystical energy. So there's a lot of insight, a lot of intuition again associated with Neptune, but it's also about like deep dreams, and sort of innate spirituality as well. But fears and loss, that's kind of the connection to the 12th house that I think I was trying to get at. And there's something about sort of areas where we need to sort of let go, and those in which we may have to make a sacrifice to achieve our dreams. Right, because this image here is based kind of on the Norse god Odin, who he hung upside down for, was it 8 or 9 days on the world tree to gain knowledge, gave up his eye to be able to see everything, wasn't it? See everything in the world. So there's definitely something about sacrifice, making sacrifice to achieve dreams. But I will say that now before I kind of forget, because I've not written it down anywhere. With the sacrifice, it's you give something up and you get something in return, right? So it's like a kind of gift. Because there's something there about that, like maybe like a fear of loss, fears and loss, whatever. But the suggestion here, certainly, and perhaps the intrinsic motivation of the universe, is that any element of sacrifice is to achieve something for yourself that is a dream for yourself. So there is the gift of that. Okay. Right, let me just peruse my notes a little bit and see. Yeah, the thing before I sort of sat to record this, I'm pretty sure I kind of had this message down. I pulled the cards and I sat with them, and I was going to record yesterday, so I was kind of all good to go. So I was like, I got this message down. And then this morning, when I was sort of having a coffee, I was just kind of like, oh no, is this message what I think it's about? And kind of had this sort of little moment of friction, we could call it. Like, oh, I don't know if maybe I've misunderstood the message, I haven't quite got it right. And I was doing a little pre-shuffle with a deck that I think I'm going to use at the end, and Liffruma came out, and I was in this kind of point of Is it right? Which is just a gorgeous energy, but it's interesting because the word benefic is on it. So Jupiter is known as the greater benefic, yeah. So I think it was just kind of confirming, like, yeah, don't worry about it. Because, I'm just going to say things, right, because I've got written down here, I kind of kept getting it a little bit when I was sitting with the cards, and it was just like, expound your theory, expound your theory, because I've had a little bit of a theory for a short while at least, but it's kind of based on, like, I'm a tarot reader, right? So I put these readings out online. I've got those ones, I've got previous work that I've done. I do readings a lot outside of kind of what you see on camera. So it's like, you know, a kind of theory based on really all that kind of message and information. Or it's like an aspect of it that's coming through. Because my theory that I'm sort of being nudged to expound a little bit here is basically that it connect the dots, yes, it's kind of like the intrinsic motivation of the universe, and some of this astrology is like, so, right, some people are going to be falling in love, right, which, okay, so it happens often all over the world, it happens all the time, people fall in love, but there is something kind of almost it's like it feels like the message to me of that, like, people can follow, it feels like it's got this kind of objectivity to it, because it's like, from a human perspective and experience, it's this really gorgeous thing, right? It's a really gorgeous thing that, if we're honest, there's not really anything else that's quite like that, is there, in terms of how we feel and the happiness that it brings and all of the kind of stuff, right? So it's like there's not really anything else specifically like that, because it's fallen in love as well, but there's also something about like sexual energy and creative energy, which is fucking abundant, isn't it, when you're in love with somebody? Hey, so it's like the objectivity that I'm kind of picking up on isn't really like of humans, of people. It's more like the universe. It's like people are going to fall in love because it's necessary. Because it's necessary that happens. That energy is what's needed, and what is created from that energy and with that energy is also really needed. So I just kind of, it almost, I kind of wanted to describe it as like some kind of strategic sort of cosmic move, which is where the astrology comes in, right? It's like the cosmos is like playing a massive fucking game of chess, right? And it's like the planets are the chess pieces a bit, and right, and so it's like, we'll just move those chess pieces around, right? But yeah, like a big cosmic stew, right? And like the ingredients are different energies, and the different energies kind of make the whole what it is, and it's like there's something about like falling in love, the energy that is, the energy that can create, like what comes from that when people are in love is like adding a certain spice or a bit of salt to something to alter the taste or to make it taste better, right? Or add something to thicken the sauce. Do you get what I mean? It's an analogy. But like my cosmic stew, I'm getting hot. Right? But it's like the universe is the chef. So it's like it's kind of the just thing on this bigger scale kind of one. It's like it's necessary, right? So there's this kind of objectivity. Oh, it has made me sweat a bit. Is that? Glad I'm wearing a pale grey t-shirt on a hot, sweaty day. Right? But like, yeah, it's got this kind of cosmic objectivity to it, but then that kind of something sort of, it trickles down to us and we have this really beautiful experience of being in love, right? Falling in love, like falling in love. Put that up there for you to read. Right, because there's something, what was on the bottom of the deck? Right, and then it was this, so you had Liffruma, and then this Sizel, Lifeforce. It's like it does something to our life force. It does something to our life force. And, but I wonder if it's like something that we don't quite understand. It's like we don't, right, because we can recognize how uplifting it can be, right? How uplifting being in love can be. But it's like there's all this other stuff goes on and it's all connected in this kind of cosmic way, so it has this big effect. But there's something about like light and life force, and it does something to that beyond the people directly involved, it's like it has benefit, or it's like something imbues in a person's wider life, right? And but it's from this energy of this like love, like falling in love. Because remember, there's like the sexual creative stuff as well. So I know that we can be in love with many things, but there's something about like falling in love, romantic love, big cosmic stew. It's necessary. It's kind of the salt and spice and bit of sweetness that's kind of needed. It's required. And the upshot of that is that it's a really gorgeous experience as a human being, right? But there's also something about like it kind of just being time for particular people. It doesn't mean that everybody is going to fall in love and that you're going to walk down the street and fall in love with the first person that you see. There's also quite a clear message of like it's very much time for some people. It's intrinsically kind of supposed to be part of their experience, and so it's coming, right? It's expanding with Jupiter. That's one of the things that Jupiter is doing. Okay. Hold those up. You can take a cheeky little screenshot because I've not actually read out what's on them. But, you know, sun, life force, benefic light, it's all gorgeous. Right, so I don't know if I've explained that very well. Did I expand it appropriately? Who knows? But that is just, yeah. Because, right, it would be confirmation for some people as well, right? Which might be like a point of friction, right? So that I was describing about like thinking that I had this message down, I understood it, and then like questioning it, just, you know, like a bit of doubt. It's like something being expanded, and there's a magnifying glass put over it so you can see it very clearly and you can see it in detail, right? So it kind of confirms something for you. And then, so that's Jupiter, the magnifying glass. But then that moment of magnification lessens or sort of moves, right? And then there's some kind of questioning of something that is already kind of seen, known, understood, right? Okay. A lot of water, right, which is like emotions and feeling. And I was going to say as well, I was like, oh, there's not really any earth cards in this deck, in this spread, which is absolutely a load of shit because I'm using like a plant medicine deck. So there's actually a lot of earth. There's a lot of water in the tarot. I think Jupiter is associated with the metal tin. To me, it's sort of a little bit kind of fiery as well, though, to be honest, to me as a reader. Yeah, so but all the other cards are water cards, a little bit of fire with the King of Cups, and then there's some like earthy water going on, but they're all dealing with plants, so that's like that kind of earthy, tangible aspect. So basically, right, the cards in the spread that came out. So the first two out were the High Priestess and Aloe Vera. So the High Priestess was out. She was out, I think, in the last reading. But she was out with the Three of Swords. So there is a kind of, I'm happy to see that Aloe Vera has come out here, because basically in my meditation for the High Priestess, she was coming through as like stillness, but there was also this idea of like an entry point, and this white curtain was sort of being highlighted to me on the right hand side. So it's that idea again of like on the right path, going in the right direction, just like a confirmation for people, just right. The idea of like illumination, but also like an indication as well. But she basically indicates here a point of recognition of a source of anxiety, right? That's what came through my meditation. And specifically the word discomfiture as well, which is a feeling of unease, embarrassment, or awkwardness. But unease, I think, is the kind of main thing. And there was this idea of, because of the blue triangle, I walked past a house the other day and I found myself staring at the external like alarm, and it was a blue triangle, and then so it's this kind of, this feeling of unease and anxiety that is kind of like an alarm. It's like a security system, right? But in relation to yourself, like, right? So, but there's recognition of it. It's like there's an understanding of what is going on, because it's like quite possibly like a relatively sort of pronounced or extreme spike in anxiety and like feeling really uneasy and all the sort of discomfort that comes with that anyway, right? But it being quite acute and pronounced and not understanding why. It's like an unease and an anxiety that is kind of disproportionate, perhaps, to what has like caused it. So there hasn't been the understanding of why there is such an extreme reaction to something. But there's a recognition of it, right? Recognition of a source of anxiety and discomforture. It was coming through like a splinter, right? Which goes back to the last reading a bit with the card that High Priestess came out with there, which was the Three of Swords. And it was this idea of like a splinter, communicate, like how it was coming up here, was a splinter, right? So it was a kind of past experience where a particular kind of aspect of it or energy of it had kind of lodged in a person's energy, right? And without them kind of realizing that it was lodged there, perhaps, or not realizing the effect it was having. It's like, right, there's this sort of energetic splinter from some difficult, some past experience, and it's like that splinter is the kind of alarm system. So something has kind of triggered the alarm, but you know how house alarms always, like, they seem to just go off more for no reason, or they've been set off by like an animal or something, rather than that there is danger or anything particularly troubling. Right? So that was what it was communicating. But it's like a point of recognition, right? So perhaps folks already know that there is this unease and anxiety that is kind of disproportionate to the circumstance that they're dealing with, but the understanding of why there is that disproportional showing of it hasn't been understood. But there seems to be here indicated a point where there's a connection has been made. It's like the connection has been made, and it's like immediately soothes the kind of flare up of like quite acute anxiety, right? An acutely anxious moment, right? You feel it in your body, don't you? That you feel it in your body, right? There might actually be something here about like because the High Priestess is such an intuitive energy. There is something as well about like differentiating between instinct and intuition and anxiety, right? So it's like a moment where that it's like it's recognized as this spike in anxiety, but there's some connection is made about why it's so extreme. And when that connection is made, it soothes. right? Because it could have been like clouding the intuition. Could have been sort of fogging up the windscreen of your intuition, right? Because there's just this quite sort of visceral, bodily, like reaction to something that's like disproportionate. So it's like it's understood, right? It's understood that it's disproportionate, but it's not understood why, or it hasn't been understood why. But there's something, possibly like some quite mundane happening, where that's when the connection's been made, I think. There is an idea of like mystery and secrets with the High Priestess. So it might be like a personal experience, right, that you don't really speak about very much, or you haven't spoken about for a long time. So there's a kind of, that could be where the mystery and secrets are kind of coming in, or not, whatever. It might just be, excuse me, my tummy. But that might be an aspect of it. It's like it's not something that is shared or that is spoken about, right? So it keeps it lodged. But there's something, right? It's like the connection has been made, or it's needing to be made. It will be made, because there's something about like gaining strength and conviction that's needed for future actions. So this is a bit of a theme as well that's come up in readings, being communicated as like strength training and things like that, like resistance training. But these energies are different. This is sort of indicating a point where something hitherto mysterious or misunderstood this is where the understanding comes in, a connection is made, and it immediately kind of soothes this sort of almost like malfunctioning alarm, right? Which could just be like an analogy for nervous system, which when we feel really anxious and uneasy, it's our nervous system, isn't it, that kind of, we have a nervous system response to that. So it's very, very good to see the aloe vera coming out, because it's like it soothes, can heal it, right? Can heal the inflammation of anxiety, which will have its kind of physiological showings as well, won't it? But there's something, so in context of what I was saying at the beginning of the video, a little theory, it's a splinter that maybe Jupiter is kind of enlarging, right, as well, so you can fucking get it out. Right, the getting out being that you have the awareness of it, you make the connection, so you can see that, right, you can clean it up. But that gaining strength and conviction for future actions, it's like because there's an idea of a power wash always when this card comes out in my readings, like a power wash, giving something a good fucking tumble. It's like whatever the splinter is, it's not, it's like it needs to come out, right? It needs to come out, like whatever it will be for folks. It's like it kind of shouldn't be there in a sense, right? You probably have the scars from personal experiences in the past, but having sort of detritus in them, like metaphorical detritus, is like that's not necessary. Possibly even like it just needs to, this is part of the intrinsic motivation of the universe and the planets and all of the energy in that sense, is like to kind of power wash people down before they get to something, right, that perhaps they're just going to be so deeply in and enjoying, they're going to be really happy, they're not going to be thinking too much about splinters from past experiences, right? So there's like a connection having to be made now, or is being made now, to help people kind of get rid of what needs to get gone, right? I've written something about Sankaras, but I've already kind of chatted. Sankaras is so I've done a couple of Vipassana meditation courses a few years ago, and they're quite intense meditation courses. You do like 10 hours of meditation every day for 10 days. Like, it's focused, right? Very focused. But it is a mode of meditation that is very centered around sensations in your body. And this is kind of what the splinter, that's what I'm getting at with the splinters. The idea of Sankaras is how it's explained to you in the tradition of Vipassana. And Sankaras are basically kind of imprints of things that happen to us. And the teacher explains it, right? You can get Sankaras in your energy, in your body, that are like a line in the sand, right? So you might have a particularly shit day, and it's like you have like a Sankara that's the equivalent of a line of sand, right? You can chill out on an evening, or the tide will come in, all this water, tide bring, and wash it away, right? But you get other Sankaras that are like the fissures in rock, right? They're much deeper, and they require more work for you to kind of smooth them out and for you to clear them. And the way you recognize it in your body in Vipassana meditation is you focus your attention to scan your body, to notice and to pay attention to the different sensations in your body. And you get some that are really subtle and like quite pleasurable even. And you get others that are like really discomfort you. They're really uncomfortable. Could even sort of like, they can be a bit painful, right? But you give them your attention literally in this kind of meditative sitting space, and you know, your attention smooths them out of your energy field. But you get what I'm saying? So this one feels like a bit of a deeper Sankara. So not quite, this is the thing, it's like it's not quite just a shit day line in the sand Sankara. I think it's actually something that was deeper, but there's already been a lot of attention given to it or work done on it. So it's not like as deep as it was. But this is what Kelp with its tide but it's saying. It's like there's this kind of water here to kind of clear the remaining detritus away, and to kind of not block the flow to where folks are going, which is falling in love for some people, right? So there's that there. Right, because aloe vera is known as like a life raft in this deck. But there's a lot of folklore around the plant, which, you know, it speaks of the plant's ability to create sort of good out of bad. So healing wounds, caring for scars that show our history but are not our guide to the future, say the authors of the deck. That's kind of the most important thing. Right, the scars are part of your history. So whatever that experience where this splinter had come from is part of your history, but it's not supposed to be the thing that's kind of guiding. So, right, intrinsic motivation of the universe. Power wash people. Power wash people. It's also quite a filter plant as well, right? So it's good at filtering out harmful substances and it's good at drawing in what's needed, but also preventing the harmful stuff as well. It's soothing, cooling, calming. And it does this for the tissues inside our body, but it also does it for like energetic, emotional and mental states as well. So it could, honestly, it's plant medicine deck. It could be a bit of a heads up if you're perhaps feeling a bit like frazzled, to some aloe vera juice or cream for your body. There could be a lot of different things you could do with that, just being around the plant. And there's something about, like, for fiery folks whose drive can exceed their reserves, aloe is a true friend and resource. But there's something perhaps that feels quite friendly. So that might be talking about a person. There might be somebody who is a true friend and a resource, a true friend and resource, because maybe they're very soothing and calming. Yeah, can soothe and calm creative, energetic and emotional states. And it's about preparing you for your next steps. So you're juicy, full, ripe and ready, okay? Yeah, so what I've been along about saying. Okay, so the next card out was Hanged Man. Came out with Angelica. This is another repeat, this Angelica. They were out in a reading that I titled Prima Facie. When there are repeat cards, it is sometimes worth going back and having a look at the reading. I think I'm in the process of doing timestamps for Prima Facie, but it's a slightly different message here, but connections, right? Right, so the Hanged Man, I've already sort of mentioned Odin, the god Odin, right? Sacrifice the eye. You might be seeing ravens. You might be seeing, or just generally like corvids. But ravens are the bird. He had their names. Huggin and Moonin. Bad pronunciation, but his two ravens. So you might be, that's right. Yeah, so Odin sacrificed his eye in order to see everything that happens in the world. He's associated with wisdom, magic, poetry, prophecy, war and death. And the runic alphabet, right? The runic. So this is a rune deck. Liffruma rune deck. Okay. The runic alphabet. Right, it's what the archetype, the god Odin, is kind of associated with the things that I've just sort of mentioned there, or the things besides that. I think right, I've heard it said by sort of practitioners who've actually worked with him and his energy that he can be very persistent and very kind of right, sort of keep going, because there's something about like overdoing it, like running your spirit down a bit, just kind of going. It's that idea of like cardinal water of Cancer as well, right? Like I was sort of saying, like maybe a sort of unhealthier showing of Cancerian energy would be maybe like pushing it a bit far, but in the realm of water. Well, there was something else about, yes, right, in my meditation. So gaining knowledge, altering a perspective. So I think this is that point of understanding about that kind of spiky anxiety. gaining knowledge, right? Making a connection, understanding the connection. It's also that idea of stillness again, right? Odin hanging from the world tree, observing so he could gain knowledge. But I've also put observing a reaction or a reactive response. So that could be like in yourself, right? It's like a state of observing yourself. Taking the time to look. Observing somebody else, it could be that. But understanding why the alarm is sounding, which is the reactive response, right? It's like the understanding, that knowledge is gained here. And then I got, there may be more to see, but only go as far and as deep as you feel ready to. Do not push your own boundaries relentlessly. Nothing will be lost to you if you go easier on yourself. Water filter, right? That's why I've just said about the god Odin being very kind of goes for it, right? There's a sort of, and Neptune and its dreaminess and its 12th house, there can be a lot of sort of dissolution associated with this archetype. So it is sort of, there's a bit of a heads up there of like, don't push your boundaries too much, okay? Nothing will be lost if you go easier on yourself. Water filter. Do not push your own boundaries relentlessly, right? I get like sometimes it's about pushing our boundaries a bit, right? It is about doing that, but don't do it relentlessly. Especially not, right, if there is any kind of like ambition that's driven out of fear. Go easier on yourself. So that's why I mentioned about sacrifice, I think, at the beginning, or part of it is that idea of like nothing is going to be lost to you if you go easier on yourself. You don't have to put yourself through the fucking ringer relentlessly to kind of, to do this, right? I think that's why I was sort of saying, I was getting the nudge to like expound your theory and chat shit. Making noise with my stomach. Cancer rules the stomach as well. Trust your gut, okay? Trust your gut. But it's like the energy, there's like a kind of grand cosmic orchestration to sort of facilitate some people falling in love. That seems to be the thing that's come to the forefront here. So you don't, there's not the need for people to kind of relentlessly push their own boundaries, certainly not other people's, trying to kind of right, like achieve something. It's, I think there's like the flow, like the watery energetic flow, the cosmic soup or stew, whatever it's said, it's very much flowing in the direction that it needs to for these things. So, you know, pay attention to your splinters, do what you need to do for yourself, right? Go easy on yourself. Back in a sec. Okay, back. Cheeky little break there. I'm getting warm. Right, so the message of Angelica here, it was that idea of Angelica being a bridge, right? So the understanding, the wisdom that has been gained over here with this splinter, this spike in unease and anxiety and discomfiture, connection's been made. It acts as a kind of bridge, right? So it kind of takes you further along. Okay? It bridges you with the flow, bridges you into the flow. There's spiritual help. I was thinking about chatting about this a bit more because of these big spiritual energies, but there is this idea of help from the spiritual realm, right? Which is absolutely like my beliefs. I'm aware that other people won't have them or won't share them, but there is definitely if the kind of wider cosmos and universe is a wee bit more objective, right? And we're like, well, we'll put this planet there so it can do that, so it can crack out that chess move and get on the inside. And there's a sort of strategic objectivity in there somewhere. It's like the spiritual realm is, you know, it's like support to help you, and it's much more personal, right? So this is what the authors of the deck talk about with Angelica, how it's like a bridge, but it also is kind of like that electricity, that energy when you know that there is that other plane, right? It's like it kind of touches you. So it's touching, it's very much in an experience here, and it's trying to help. It's trying to help. I'm so much more sort of articulate with these, I feel. And then as soon as I start recording, it kind of helping to link and protect you. So people have got spiritual help, right? Whether they are aware of that or not, whether they believe in that or not. We've all got spiritual family and support, and that's happening, right? Because perhaps the falling in love for people is significant in a way, right, that I don't know and I haven't communicated. Significant in ways that I don't understand, right? And it's just this gorgeous thing for people. But in that idea, that, did I say it about like it's supposed to be part of some people's experience, so perhaps it hasn't been for some folks for a long enough time, and right, so that might affect things beyond them. Okay, right, so there's help to achieve it. There's help to achieve it. The flow is very much flown in that direction, right? Be careful of this ambition driven by fear thing. And Cancer rules the stomach, and it's really intuitive archetype, right? So just like trust your gut. That's why my stomach's making noises, okay? Just like trust your gut. Trust your gut. So also this is a good plan for when we've been living too often and too long from the neck up, right? It's too much time in the mind, and how it can be like planting yourself in a bit of a swamp. Making down the wading into self a sodden and murky process. So elemental water, that enlightenment, that knowledge comes from dipping one's head in the water, okay? So it's like getting into that flow, the bridge into the flow. I've said that already, haven't I? Innate perception unfailing, bringing crystallized sense of focus and clarity. So once that kind of that sort of disproportionate and dysregulated kind of nervous or reactive response is recognized and soothed, right, the innate perception starts to unfurl, and right, so it crystallizes a sense of clarity. So it's like focus and clarity that's not going to kind of right, because I was saying that at the beginning as well, wasn't I? It's the energy of like something that magnifies and you can really see it, and there's a kind of surety and you see it, but then it can not be as magnified at other points. But it is indicating that there's like a kind of crystallization of it here, right? Protected by something greater than ourselves as well. So that's like, right, the universe in which we live, and all of the many things that that contains that we don't understand, right? Vast majority of things. Okay. So the next cards were the Three of Cups and Kelp. So I've kind of spoken about Kelp a little bit already. The Tidebringer, the Sankara, do you remember? So the Three of Cups was coming through as like, it's Cancerian energy. It is Mercury in Cancer, like the planet Mercury in the zodiac sign of Cancer. So it is Cancerian energy. But it's this idea of like meaningful connections and communications, and this sense of belonging as well. But I've put a point where one gets stuck, but I think it's more like a point where the splinter shows up. Right, and the Three of Cups can be sort of celebrations, right? Celebrations, friendships, meetings, relationships. But it is like, it's a card of kind of good fortune and happiness and fulfilling love. It's a celebratory energy, right? But that splinter, there's something about this, it's kind of, it's where it shows up. It's not like its origin. So do you see what I mean? Like in something that is actually a very joyful and abundant, like a tide of joy being brought in. It's like the splinter shows up here, right? Because there might be more to do on it, but it's like the joy is there. So I think it is in some ways suggestive of a bit of a trigger point, is this Three of Cups, or it's just indicating like situations like this, dynamics like this, something is kind of where this reactive response kind of comes up. But it's at this point, because the awareness is there, the understanding is there, the connection has been made, it's coming through with all, it's much soothed here, right? So it's like it's not disproportionate anymore. It's soothed. It's greatly soothed. And there's also like the idea of like a healing covenant. So actually, right, it could be like a new group or something new to celebrate that brings further healing to that healing covenant, healing agreement. Fuck, mate, it could just, right, it could be a point where you with yourself, possibly with your spirit helpers, yeah, maybe with people, but all this watery energy, it might be where you make an agreement with yourself to kind of to let yourself move forward, to let yourself go with the flow, because the flow is taking you somewhere very lovely. It's like a point of coming unstuck then, isn't it? Or it's indicated here, right, that has happened, or is the more likely thing to happen. It's like healing agreement with yourself, with, right, especially if it's like affected or has affected like how you build relationships and dynamics with other people. Falling in love, right? So it could be specific connections like that. Fulfillment of joy, fulfillment of that particular joy. good fortune though with the Three of Cups. And Kelp is like, it's very medicinal plant is Kelp. And the authors of the deck say, like, what matters most when we think about our place in the world is how we locate ourselves in relationship to other living beings. So it's that sense of belonging. Right, yeah. The sense of belonging. Also talks about like finding a comfortable place in mystery and secrets we know in our hearts, but whose language we may have forgotten. Right? There's something like for folks who haven't been in love for folks who haven't been in love for a while, it's like the language of it isn't lost to you because you feel it, right? So there's like, let yourself feel it. Let yourself feel the joy of it, right? The joy of the meaningful connections. Ooh, that fell off there. Let's put that back on. A little drawing. It has brought my attention to good luck though. The good luck cat. Right, good fortune. Okay. Right, nearly finished. Yeah. So the next card was the Wheel of Fortune. So it's that fucking power wash. Again, it's the card of Jupiter as well. Relearning the language of our true home, right? With ourselves and with other people. And as well, so people falling in love. I mean, perhaps it's a polyamorous situation, who knows, man, do you think? But it's that idea of like, you know, one person, two person, and then the third thing that's created. So it's this joy, it's this fulfillment of joy, right? Something there. And the, right, yeah, true home and togetherness in yourself and with other people. Because this splinter's been getting in the way of it, okay? I hope I've clearly communicated that. So here with the Wheel of Fortune, definitely power wash. Also got astrophysics, right, which is the branch of astronomy, excuse me, concerned with the physical nature of stars and other celestial bodies, and the application of the laws and theories of physics to the interpretation of astronomical observations. So fucking hell, it's a bit beyond me as that, but it kind of, right, that idea of the astronomy and the astrology, I think that's probably worth delving into a bit more in a different reading, because it's interesting that astrophysics was communicated so specifically. But with this, with the Wheel of Fortune, so in my meditation I got like create a space for, question mark, but also like creation, a canvas being created and filled, shape taking form, make the space for it, right? It's taking form, make the space for it. Oh shit, right, the astrophysics, the physical nature of stars and other celestial bodies, all of everything, which is it. The Fountain card, it didn't come out in this spread, but I think it came out in that prima facie reading, I think. Possibly the intrinsic value as well, I can't remember. But it was that idea of it's, so it's communicating that again. It's like a structure that's coming into formation. using the fountain, the elements, the tools, right? The elements, the tools, using the, right, what I've been saying about the astrology and the astronomy, they're tools, right, to help people understand. Cosmic tools, energy. Jupiter in Cancer as well. So yeah, definitely that prima facie reading is relevant, because the Queen of Cups, which she is the court card associated with the sign of Cancer, in particular tarot systems, but she came out with the fountain, so it might be worth checking that out. Something about the flow and expanding the flow. The flow once the splinter has been removed. There you go. It allows something to start taking its intended and destined form. With the Wheel of Fortune, right? The idea of destiny. The wheel turns, but the flow, a destined form, because it looks like a canvas being painted to me, right? My painting fell off. My painting fell off. To indicate, don't forget to say the canvas, right? But that idea, and creative energy, right? Creative energy. It allows something to start taking its intended and destined form, but that splinter has to be removed. Luck is on side. And I've also put an indicator of divine timing, wishes and such things, because that came up in another reading as well, as the idea of like a flying wish coming in, but to respect the timing of it. But Wheel of Fortune is probably one of the cards that could specifically indicate timing, because yeah, so it might be like, yeah, all this like fulfillment of juicy loveliness. Odds are in your favour. I've put resolution of a concern and then concept in brackets, because I think that was just a typo, but sometimes I keep typos because they're interesting. But really like forward movement and good fortune again. So a lot of good fortune being highlighted here, yeah. And it's Iris, she was out in the last one as well. Radiant renewer, so it's a really creative energy. But here she just came through with like lead from desire. Lead from desire compels us to create. Right. So I was saying about like the creative energy, the sexual energy, the energy of being in love, and what comes from that. Beyond, right? Additional to like the thing of being in love. It's like there's all this other stuff that's important. It's like the world needs it. The world needs more people to fall in love, man. Because people, right? You can just view shit very differently, can't you, when you have that? It really is this kind of uplifting, very gorgeous thing, and there's nothing else like it, much as people might like to think otherwise. Okay, so this was very gorgeous here. This, right? And then the final two cards out with this King of Cups. So right, I've just mentioned the Queen of Cups in that previous reading, so they would be the King of Queen of Cups are the most developed energies in their suit of water. Okay, they are equal, they are a match, they are counterpart in that, right? They're both waters, both water court cards, right? I've mentioned that prima facie reading a lot. That's usually a bit of an indicator that there's something in it, but I can't recall. It was about like, it was saying that a particular tangible differential didn't matter. It was important to assume, it was important to not assume that something would matter in terms of like some kind of tangible difference. Okay. Right, but water here. So the King of Cups. So typically, right, he sort of indicates, the authors of this deck indicate like a character, a figure of like ease, warmth, kindness, and a sort of gentle support in chaos. Because, you know, with the tide, it's fucking heals. That's why I was talking about the sankaras and the sand. It's like, it heals here, right? So it's like there's still this kind of powerful energy, right? But it's not the splinter. The splinter's gone. Right? Right, because I keep talking about tides and I mentioned the sankaras, and now here he is in the spray. It's holding it down in the chaos, right? Able to kind of be stable in that. Also, like a character, a figure who values empathy and compassion. Quite a lot said about arts and culture, like the expression of arts and culture as well. So there's Iris here. Devoted, fair, protective. Interesting, like able to bring others to a cause, appealing to their sense of loyalty and devotion. So like, yeah. But is it right? Because that 2 degrees of Cancer. So this is actually an energy of Scorpio, right? Which is a bit more of the mysteries and secrets kind of vibe over here. But do you see what I'm saying? It's like, if the splinter was misunderstood here, but there's been a point of understanding and a connection, soothed. There's like, you get over here and it's like this emotional embodiment of it. It's like, it's not harmful. It's not stopping the flow. It's like being in the fucking flow, man. Here. Doesn't have to represent a man, okay? Masculine energy, which we all have. Right, so if a splinter has been affecting how we take action around maybe things of emotional import to us, that's what it's helping with, right? Because masculine energy is like active, but doing it with a whole load of emotional maturity here. Whole load. Very well developed emotional energy. So it's, right, not a figure who is kind of driven by fear and so kind of frantically trying to do things and achieve things. It's like that splinter's been removed, the connection's been made, there's been some soothing. So it's like able to kind of go with the flow, possibly like a chaotic flow, right? It's like there's this suggestion of holding it down, like gentle but powerful, right? Maybe like a gentle nature but fucking powerful. Might indicate like intense emotion as well, right? Because the splinter's been removed, stuff can flow, so it might be like real, might be, right? Falling in love, like felt intensely. There's nothing to block it anymore. Baptisia, wild indigo. The authors of the deck call it an emissary of space and time, which is like astrophysics thing again. Emissary, from Latin emissarius, means to scout or to say. From emitter, to send out. Sending out a vibe, man. Maybe like, sorry, not scout or say, scout or spy. Sending out some good vibes. Scout or spy, maybe having an eye on someone. Right. Blue wild indigo, Baptisia australis, carries a heritage as rich as its blooms, apparently. Historically, these flowers were a source of blue dye, rivaling true indigo plant and earning the same name. But culturally, they're often associated. They're a symbol of protection, often planted to guard against misfortune. So there is a further thing here. It's like, go with this flow, get this splinter out, let yourself, man. Let yourself be happy, I think. Yeah. Right, let yourself flow into the thing that it is you're wanting. Okay. Because Jupiter's helping you. But just as like an additional kind of thing, there's more guarding against misfortune here. So there's a lot of like protective energy here, because the King of Cups is that innately, right? There's that protective kind of vibe. And that's very much what Baptisia is saying as well. Hang on, there's some stuff I've written here and highlighted in blue. Hang on, writing these notes and then I'm nearly done. Right. Is that it, right? For and of the star children, hearing the whispers from another world, radiating through the constellations to your heart. And it's a big plant ally with its energy. It's a big plant ally for folks who like feel a little different, right? Or a lot different maybe. Many people who are made to feel that they don't belong, that they're not right and they're not normal. But the authors say, like, societally, it's kind of it's a fear-based belief, yeah? It's not a truth. And then I've written, get fucking weird. Get fucking weird. Right. Gonna be like finding your weird counterpart. And then welcome as you are. You're welcome as you are. Everyone's welcome as they are, whatever this, right? Which in intimate dynamics, right, that would suggest that everybody's welcome as they are. That, so going back to that, wasn't it, where it was a bit of like, don't relentlessly push your boundaries, right? Right, and then that prima facie, that I've just said, it, yes, okay. There might be like bits of work to do on yourself, right? We always do, right? It's ongoing. It's ongoing, isn't it? We've always got work to do on ourselves, or some healing to do, or some shit to sort out. It's very much a part of life. But there's something here about you're going to be welcome where you're going with who that's with, because you're enough. You're enough as you are. So anybody or any folks who, you know, where there might be a tendency or just a feeling of having to kind of relentlessly self-improve or change or whatever. It's saying like you're enough. You're gonna be very welcome where you're going. And also very beautifully, you are your own home no matter where you go. Okay, so that's your own home inside of yourself, with yourself, in yourself. You're taking that out into the world, right? Your home is you, isn't it, really? Like, your home is you. So sprinkling the splinters. But don't push your boundaries too much. There is something there about, like, you're enough, right? You're enough and you're welcome as you are. So I'm going to leave that there. All right. Am I? Or is she going to? I'm going to split the deck of the Liffruma and see what's there. Oh, I think it's, so it's rad. It's rad. It's rad, man. Oh, yes. Shit. Yes. Yes. Unsaddle from the tangled stitches that hold you fast, right? It's that splinter stopping your flow and stopping your movement. Unbridle yourself from the shackles of the shadow mare, slice free and set off out of fate's starter gate. It's destiny, fate and all of these things. Choose to ignore the curdling cries of the battle slain as they still shriek in sleep. Sounds intense. Right, personal demons though, do you know what I'm saying? Slip your knots and ride out. Do not force your horse to run a deathly course, but get down and walk your own journey, right? Don't push your boundaries relentlessly. Fucking love when that happens. Not the pushing boundaries relentlessly when the cards are just like, yes, to what I've been saying. Right. Okay. All right, nice one. Take care. Hour and a half. Marginally better in terms of length, isn't it? All right. So, beautiful stuff, ma'am. Beautiful. Happy loving. Bye-bye.